Alrighty, and what's going on, everybody? And welcome back to Season 5, Episode 32 of Hit the Books, the podcast all about sports betting. The best bets you should be taking in everything surrounding sports. Here this week, just Huff and I, we're heading into the NHL and NBA playoffs here after missing last week. We have a lot to look forward to. Let's jump right in and introduce my co-host here with me this week. Huff, what do you got for us here as we are in the first round of the NBA and NHL playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. Penguins, we're recording after that Penguins-Flyers Game 3. Penguins are down 3-0. We'll get into that series in a little bit, but not much good coming from over here. Being, Penguins are my 1-1 in the city of Pittsburgh. I love my Steelers, love my Pirates, but being down 3-0 to the Flyers absolutely sucks. Been having to hear it from Beal all week so far. It's 3-0, and there's not much of a fight from our Penguins, but we'll get into these NHL and NBA playoffs, but other than that, I always love the first round of the NHL and NBA playoffs. Not really NBA. I love the first round of the NHL playoffs. NBA doesn't really get good until the second, third round. But we're getting some great hockey out of these series, and, we're going to get in all of them.
Heck yeah, we have lots to look forward to, like I said, but let's jump right in here. NHL, we'll start over in the Western Conference here. First series here in Game 3, Colorado and the Los Angeles Kings here. Colorado leaving the series 2-0 here. Their next game tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern. Huff, any thoughts on this series here? Colorado just taking it to the Kings.
Yeah, the Kings kind of put up their fight in that Game 2. You got to think anytime you're a road team, if you can get it to overtime and steal one of those games, you got to be, in a 1-1 hockey game going to overtime in the playoffs. You're on the road. Those are the kind of games you got to win to steal a series against a team like the Avalanche, the overall 1 seed. I believe the President's Trophy winners, but I just think this Avalanche team is a little bit too much. They're going to get out of the series. LA might get one at home. They've shown a little bit of a fight in this series. I'm going to still take the Avalanche in 5.
I think that's a smart pick here. Yeah, you got to think the Kings get one at home or something, but we'll definitely see what happens.
Another overtime game, something like that. You're going to get a bounce. I guess unless you're like our Penguins, but I thought that was going to come today. But Game 3, going back to LA, they've shown a fight in this series. I wouldn't be shocked to see them get one, but like I said, I still think Colorado closes it out in 5 at home.
Heck yeah, definitely a good series there. We'll jump into this next one here. This game going on right now, about the end of the first period here. Stars and Wild here in Game 3. Series tied 1-1. Stars are up 2-0 here in this game. Huff, what do you think is going to happen in this series here? Stars looking like they're going to take this one here early.
Yeah. This has been a crazy series to start. Obviously, the Wild jump out, smacked Dallas in the face in Game 1, 6-1. In Dallas, in their home barn. Yeah, that was. I mean, this Minnesota team is very good. This is definitely the 2 best teams that we have going head to head in the first round of the playoffs. The way the format is, you're going to get a crazy 2 versus 3 seeds sometimes, and this is one of them. The crazy thing is the winner's probably going to have to play Colorado, but with this series, like I said, Minnesota jumps out to a 6-1 win in Game 1. Dallas responds. They're not going to give up that total home ice there. They respond in Game 2 and get a 4-2 victory. Tonight, Dallas up in Minnesota, 2-0 start. I was liking Minnesota to win this game. I'm glad I didn't end up playing anything on it because Dallas looks like they got their mojo back after that Game 2 win. They kind of took their smack in the face and showed they're not going to go down without a fight. But yeah, my original pick was a Wild in 7. I think I'm still going to stick to it.
I don't think that's a bad pick. I think these games are kind of just going to go back and forth, the high
Dallas
scoring.
Is so good though, but one of these teams, you could pick either of these teams. This is the best series. But either of these teams would be, division winners in a lot of the I think 2 of the 4 conferences. But
right, and I think either team is going to put up a fight against Colorado.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to stick with Minnesota in 7. Obviously, I think they drop this one looking at a 2-0 score. I know it's only going to be the first intermission here, but give me Minnesota in 7. I want to see them win. I like the addition of Quinn Hughes. That's a fun team with Kaprizov. I like seeing Minnesota go far, and I want to see the Wild get out of the series.
Heck yeah, lots of good stuff out of that series here. Another 1 versus 4 series in Game 3. Series tied 1-1. the Vegas Golden Knights and the Utah Mammoth here. Their next game on Friday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. What do you think about this one, Huff? Next game is in Utah?
Yeah, so they're headed back to Utah. So here's one thing I want to say about this series. I have always, ever since me and you hit that future on Vegas, and I'm actually wearing my Vegas Golden Knights shirt that we got at their stadium right now.
Hell
but
yeah.
Well, side note, I didn't mean for that to happen. That was just coincidence. But ever since then, I've always kind of, like when I'm up late, if they're on, that's usually who I watch if there's multiple games on. So the other night, Sunday night, I'm like, oh yeah, Vegas is coming on. I'll bet on something. Let me see what I can do. So I forget what I did. Vegas to win and something, maybe the under, like a higher under or a low over. I can't remember what I did. That hit. The other thing I bet, I put 50 on Mark Stone plus 1650 or plus 1850 to be the first goal scorer in game one. Long story short, he doesn't hit in game one. Game two, I think it was last night I think it was Tuesday night. So yeah, it was last night. So I wake up this morning. I'm like, oh yeah, Vegas played last night. I'm like, let me see what the score was. Guess who scored the first goal in game two? Mark Stone.
Mark Stone. Jeez. Yeah. That's terrible. That's awful.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen here in this series?
That's what I have to say. But I like this Utah team, but I'm kind of biased to Vegas. I think they're too good of a team as the series goes on. I'm going to take Vegas. I do think this will be a longer series, but I'm going to take Vegas in 6.
I think that's a good one. I mean, I like this Vegas team. I can't say I'm like impressed by this Utah team by any means. I know they're not bad, but
it would be fun to see them their first, time getting in. I still think of them as the Arizona Coyotes, and like if this is the Arizona Coyotes, I'd be rooting for the Coyotes. I just don't something about the Mammoth. I don't know. They have sick jerseys in this spot. Maybe it's because I have a soft spot for Vegas. I don't know, but I think Vegas gets out of the series. I think they're definitely the better team. If Utah gets out of this series, will I be rooting for them? Probably.
Definitely going to be a good one here. 1 versus 4 here in that one. We'll see what happens here next game for them on Friday. Another matchup happening right now here in game 2, the Oilers and the Ducks. Oilers lead the series here 1-0, leading this game 1-0 here with just about 9 minutes left in the first. What do you think happens in this one, Huff? This series starting later than others here, starting on Monday, having their first game, game 2 here now. What do you think here before they head back to head over to Anaheim?
Yeah, I don't want to stick with another chalk pick, but I think Edmonton is going to get the job done. I'm not big on this Anaheim Ducks team. I know they're young and fun, but give me the Oilers to get out of this one. I do think they'll do it in 5. Could it go 6 if the Ducks squeak out some maybe an overtime win here or there? But I don't know. But I'm going to go with Edmonton in 5. The goaltending, they're not getting it, but I just think that offense with Draisaitl, that's who scored the opening goal tonight in game 2. I think they're going to head back to Anaheim with a 2-0 series lead. Get 1 in Anaheim. That's all you got to do. And then you close things out in game 5 back in Edmonton.
Sounds about right. I mean, I can't imagine seeing this Ducks team do anything special. I'm not impressed by them either. They're not making any signs to me that they're going to beat the Oilers 1-2. Do anything special here in this playoff. But
I think they're a little bit too early. Like this is their taste of the playoffs.
Right.
That was a weak division that they ended up getting in on, and I think this is their. You get the Edmonton Oilers that went to the Cup the past 2 years. This is a lot worse of an Edmonton roster that we've seen the past 2 years, but you still got McDavid, you still got Draisaitl, you get your taste of the playoffs. Like I said, I got Edmonton in 5.
Heck yeah, lots of good stuff out of that series here, and that's going to wrap up everything we have in the the West, here in the NHL. Let's jump over to the East here. H not here to back up his Bruins, but the Sabres and Bruins are the first one we're going to chat about here. Game 3 here tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern. Sabres have an amazing comeback here in game 1. Bruins taking game 2 in a good fashion. What do you think is going to happen in this series, Huff?
Yeah, I like Buffalo in this series. I know they're the fun new team that a lot of people are going with, but they were hot throughout the end of the regular season. I don't know if you can hear. I have 2 horses of dogs behind me fighting over a fucking toy behind me right now. But I like Buffalo in this series. I think it's going to be a longer series. This one is, I do think, going to go 7. We're about to go back to Boston. 1-1 in a tie or a tied series, going back to Boston. A tough place to play for this Buffalo team, but I'm going to take the Sabres in 7.
I like that as much as I hate battling. By the way, Huff, just so you know, you cannot hear the dogs in the background. But anyways,
just give me 1 second. You're good. Keep going.
Yeah, you're good. I just want to make sure you know. Yeah, hate to go against Ace's Bruins here, but the Sabres, I think, are the top team here in this series. I think they're going to do well in this series. I think they're going to do well when they play the Lightning or the Canadiens looking ahead.
Bruins smacked them in the mouth last night. That was a big win, but game one, Sabres came back and sold. Bruins have kind of owned the momentum this series. That's the only thing that scares me about picking Buffalo. They look like the more inexperienced team, but can they get a squeaky win on the road and get this thing back home? We'll have to wait and see. I think they will. I'm going to stick with Buffalo in 7.
Yeah, I hope they didn't shoot through all their goals there in that first game. So we'll see as this series continues to develop. Let's jump over this next one here. Game 3 for the Lightning and the Canadiens on Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Series tied 1-1. What do you think happens in this one, Huff? This is a tight series.
Yeah, I had my original pick in this one was the Montreal Canadiens getting out of this in 6. I'm going to stick with that. I think they've looked like the better team. I know Tampa in a tough game 2, but Montreal in game 1, I was impressed with Yuri Slafkovsky, however you say his name's hat trick in game 1. Obviously, Tampa Bay comes back and gets it in game 2, but we're headed back to Montreal with a tied series, a very hard place to play. I think Montreal could get games 3 and 4. We're going to start with games 3, but I'm going to take the Canadiens. I think they get this series in 6.
I like that. I'm not all about this Lightning team. They played well throughout the regular season, but I mean that series is very chummy, similar to Flyers and Pens. In my opinion,
that's a great series. They were killing each other in game 2.
Right, it was crazy, and I'm afraid that Canadian team is going to come out of that on top, but I don't know. Very decisive on this series. I'm not sure. Indecisive, rather. So we'll see what happens here. Game 3 on Friday. Next series here in the Metro, the Hurricanes and the Senators. Game 3, Carolina leading that series 2-0 here. Their next game tomorrow at 7:30. What do you think the Hurricanes are going to do here? Do they take another one here off in Ottawa?
Yeah, my original pick was that the Senators were going to win this series. I don't know if that was my bias for the Penguins coming out, but it does look like Carolina is for sure the better team. But I always say a series doesn't start till a road team or till a home team loses a game. Obviously, Carolina just defended home ice. We're going back to Ottawa. Let's see what they can do there. But Ottawa looks like they've owned the momentum throughout this series. And obviously, up to going back to Ottawa, they look like faster, better. They're getting obviously a game 2 or double overtime game in game 2. That game could have gone either way. The Hurricanes got a goal called back, and then they still ended up winning. But I originally said, like I said, Senators and probably 6 or 7. This is going to be Hurricanes in 5, I'd say.
I think that's a good pick. These Senators just not coming out looking like themselves. Didn't have super high hopes for them coming in, but I was hoping they would win for the Penguins' sake here if they were to be able to get past the Flyers. But let's jump into that here. The only the only series here in Game 4 already. The Flyers leading the series 3-0 here. Pens and Flyers. Next matchup on Saturday at 8 p.m. Huff, what do you got to say?
Yeah, I mean, they've looked like an absolutely totally different team than they did at the end of the regular season. Obviously, they sat guys to the end of the season. Is this rest versus rust? I mean, I really don't know, but they look like a totally different team night and day than they did 1 month ago on the dot at the beginning of March. I mean, game 1, it was a tight 3-2 game. I'm not going to excuse some of the mistakes made in that game. There obviously was many. Not getting shots on net in game 2, you get shut out. That's the one that's unacceptable. Tonight, you go to Philly. You have a lead. You buy into their style yet again with the penalties and the fighting. I like Russ trying to send the message, going at Konechny there in the net, in the crease, shoving his face in the ice, doing whatever you got to do to get your team going. Even though you have a lead there, that played into what Philly wants to do. Zegras gets a goal on that power play, and that kind of turned the momentum of that game. Flyers score 3 straight. It was 3-1, then it was 3-2, then it was 4-2, then they win 5-2. We're down 3-0 in the series before it could even start, I feel like. Just a week ago, I was thinking, oh yeah, Penguins in 5-6. How's how many games are going to take? We're staring down the barrel of 3-0 elimination real quick before we even get to a game 4. We might not get that coveted game 5 where everyone thought the Penguins were going to be clinching this one. Looks like if we do, we're going to be, we're going to be fighting for our life still. But I'm going to say maybe the Penguins get one. It's still the NHL playoffs. Sweeps are so hard to come by, especially in a rivalry game like this. But the Penguins look so defeated. They look so flat. And I don't think it's Stuart Skinner's fault. I obviously don't think, Crosby, Carlson, Malkin, any of those guys have played bad. It's Girard, it's Letang, it's some of these defensive pieces. I'm interested to see what the Penguins will do. Obviously, if they get out of this series, so be it. But if they losing in the first round with new ownership and relatively new GM, new coach, I'm interested to see what this roster looks like in a year.
Yeah, definitely a lot of positives out of this a lot of negatives out of this for the Penguins, but they played so well in the first period here tonight and then just so flat the rest of the game.
They just totally let Philly take over the game.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the momentum shift is insane, and it's almost like we do it to ourselves. We don't even we take a penalty or something stupid, and then all of a sudden all the energy's drained. It's not even like they have the momentum. They're not like the Flyers did not play top tier hockey tonight. Like they didn't. No. In my opinion.
They've been hot for the past month. They've been playing playoff games for the past month with having to get in, and obviously the spot that they were in versus the spot that we were in. But they haven't even played their best hockey, in my opinion. They just know how we don't want to play, and they're making us play that way.
You're exactly right. Definitely not our game. They're definitely putting us in a spot that we don't feel comfortable in, and it's hard to watch. It's very hard to watch. But I hope the Pens can get 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll see what happens here with Game 5 on
4. We need 4 first.
Sorry, Game 4 on Saturday.
I
keep getting screwed up because I keep thinking
it's probably going to be Saturday at 3 o'clock since it's up for a sweep.
Right.
Won't be the night game.
All right, give me 1 sec. Leslie's calling me. Alrighty, and to wrap up our NHL segment here, just a little bit of news here. The Avalanche are still leading the Stanley Cup final odds at plus 250. Hurricanes at plus 400. The Lightning at plus 700. 3 teams out of the East there. Next 3 teams out of the West. The Oilers at plus 800. The Golden Knights at plus 900. And the Stars at plus 1300. Very interesting there. Not top 3 teams out of the East there. Top 2 of the top 3 teams out of the East there. Most of the teams coming out of the West, as you'd assume. But any thoughts on that, Huff, before we move on to the NBA?
What was Minnesota's price?
Minnesota's plus 1,800. I didn't even get down to them.
They're down. They're down in Game 3. I don't think they can do it, but that'd be a fun bet.
Yeah, I agree. Alrighty, shifting our focus over to the NBA here. Let's start out in the Western Conference here. The Thunder and the Suns, they are in the second. They're there in Game 2, Oklahoma City leading 1-0 here. Thunder are up late in this game. Huff, what are you thinking about this series?
Yeah, obviously the Thunder are the Thunder. I think there's not much to say here. This is you could say a close game, I guess, for Oklahoma City standards, only up 7 against Phoenix here, but I think this is a 4-0 sweep. Not much to say here.
Alrighty, moving through the Western Conference here. Lakers and Rockets here next. Their next matchup, Lakers are leading the series 2-0. They're in Game 3. Their next game is on Friday. What do you think about this one here?
Yeah, obviously Lakers jumping out to a 2-0 lead. LeBron with a 7 assists, 8 rebound. I can't talk performance in Game 2. He's looked like he's turned back the clock a few years. Obviously, this Rockets team has been injured. We're going back to Houston. I said it doesn't start till a home team loses a game. The Lakers have been underdogs in both of these games, though, I believe, betting underdogs, unless on Game 2 it might end up closing. But I know Game 1 they were. We're going back to Houston. We'll see how this ends up happening. But Lakers are minus 102 to win this series, up 102 or up 2-0 going back to Houston, like I said. My original pick was the Lakers in 7. I'm going to stick with the Lakers. I do think they get it done in 6, though. I did not think they'd start out 2-0. I thought they would have to steal one in Houston. Now they're playing with house money going to Houston. I'm going to take the Lakers in 6.
Yeah, the Rockets are 9.5-point favorites at home. Alrighty, moving through the West here. The Nuggets and the Timberwolves here. They're tied 1-1 going into Game 3. Their next game is tomorrow night. What do you think about Denver and Minnesota here, Huff?
Yeah, Minnesota steals Game 2 in Denver. We're going back to Minnesota. Obviously, I love Anthony Edwards. I love Jokic. This is a series that we've seen happen the past few years. What are we going to get in Game 2? Obviously, it's a 2.5-point spread. This is what, tomorrow night, Thursday night?
Correct, 9:40 p.m.
It's tough. It's tough to give picks on NBA games because so many guys are in and out. But it's the playoffs. You got to think most of these guys are playing. I'd look at Minnesota maybe to jump out to a series lead here in Game 3. My original pick was the Nuggets in 6. Do I still stand by that? The Nuggets are probably going to win this series. I want Minnesota to win. I love Anthony Edwards, but I do think the Nuggets win this series. I do think the Timberwolves could be a good pick in Game 2, though. I like that plus 2.5. I like the plus 114 coming off a win in Denver. Coming home to take a series lead, but I do think Denver and probably 6 or 7 is a safe series pick.
Lots of good stuff there. Another Game 3 here. Spurs and the Trailblazers. Series tied 1-1 heading back to Portland. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, this series just got interesting with Victor Wembanyama obviously going into the concussion protocol. We don't know exactly when he's going to be back. He has to go through the protocol, like they said, or like their coach said, just like everybody else. But the Spurs are a different team without him. De'Aaron Fox said a lot of guys got to step up to fill that role. The Trailblazers have been a fun young team. Could they steal this series without Wemby? Depends how long he's out. Looks like he's going to be out for Game 3, headed back to Portland. But I think a lot of people had the Spurs in 4 or 5 in this series. I think this is going to be a much longer series than people think now.
Alrighty, that's going to wrap up everything we got in the Western Conference here. Let's jump over the East here. Pistons and the Orlando Magic. Their next game on Saturday, I believe. Yeah, Saturday at 1 p.m. What do you think about this series here? Tied 1-1 going into Game 3.
Yeah, Detroit kind of got smacked in the mouth by, I think, a quote-unquote hot team that won or they kind of smacked Charlotte in the mouth in the second play-in game. They got that 8 seed to take on Detroit. The Magic came in, I think, with a little chip on their shoulder, getting in and having a good performance against Charlotte. They went out in Game 1 in Detroit and, took down the 1 seed Pistons. Obviously, Pistons get their money back in Game 2. We're going down to Orlando for Game 3 here, like you said, on Saturday. Detroit's still a favorite. I think Detroit's still going to win this series. My original pick was in 5. I think it might take longer than 5, but I'll stick with Detroit in 5.
I think that's a smart pick here, but we'll see what this Orlando team can do. Another Game 3 here. Cleveland leading the series 2-0. Cleveland and the Toronto Raptors. What happens out of this one, Huff?
I think
going back to Toronto.
Yeah, I like some players on this Toronto team, and it kills me to say this, but I think this is a sweep. The Cavs, for some reason, just feel like they have the Raptors number. I'm going to take the Cavs 4-0. They're already up 2-0. I'm going to take it 4-0. I think they get 2 wins up there in Toronto.
I like that. Their next game here tomorrow night at 8 p.m., Thursday night at 8 p.m. Alrighty, another one here in Mackey's New York Knicks and the Atlanta Hawks here. Tied 1-1 going into Game 3. Next game in Atlanta tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern. What do you think about Mackey's Knicks? They going to be able to take this first series?
I think they get out of the series. Is it going to be as easy as everyone thought? No. This Hawks team with obviously CJ McCollum, who knew of all people, but some of the additions and moves they made, had me raising my eyebrow. And they get in as a 6 seed. They win a Game 2 in MSG. The Knicks are, everyone says they're built to beat the Celtics, but not anybody else. Could they have an issue here? I don't think so. I think the Knicks will get out of this series in probably 6.
I think that's a smart move there. But keeping it going here, our final series in the East here, the Celtics and the 76ers, Aces Celtics here. That series tied 1-1 going into Game 3. Their next matchup here on Friday at 7 p.m. What do you think about this one as it heads back to Philadelphia?
Yeah, so Sixers get a huge win in Game 2 without Embiid. We get the Maxey 30-point, the VJ Edgecombe 29-point performance. 2 young budding stars in this league. Maxey's already here. Obviously, Edgecombe's a rookie, but the Celtics coming, they're definitely the major favorite in this series. I think they're minus 850 to win. They'll probably still win this series. Will it go 6? Maybe. I don't know. It depends what Embiid's going to do. Are they a better team without Embiid? Probably not, but or definitely not. But I'm going to still stick with the Celtics. I think it does go to 6 games, though. It's a rivalry.
Yeah, you're right. Alrighty, real quickly before we wrap up that, the Thunder are still in the lead to take the NBA Finals here at -120. Spurs at +550. Celtics at +650. Cavs at +1300. Nuggets at +1500. Pistons at 2200. And Knicks at 2200. Lakers up there at 4000. Timberwolves at +10,000. Wow.
I like Aces Celtics. I hate to say it. Now that Wemby is concussed, the Spurs. I think Spurs and Celtics was my finals pick before the playoffs. Would I still put a future on the Spurs without knowing what Wemby's going to be doing? No. But I thought it was going to be Spurs Celtics. I thought the Spurs were going to win. But if Wemby's going to be missing serious time, I would take the Celtics.
Alrighty, that's everything we got here in the NBA, and that's everything we got here this week. Anything else to add before we get on out of here, Huff?
No, I think that's it. Quick week recap these first round of the NBA and NHL playoffs. Make sure you're staying tuned. We'll see you next week. We'll get some picks out this week in some of these games. I like getting feelers out on some of these series. Obviously, you don't want my picks for the NHL right now. I've been betting the Penguins every game. They're down 3-0, but some of these other ones, we are getting some feelers out in these series. So stay tuned to our social media. We'll get some picks out for you. Make you some money in the NHL and NBA playoffs. MLB as well. Pirates continue to roll. Another big win tonight. We'll just shout out the Buccos. They were in last place in the division coming into today at 13.
Yeah, but the Central's a freaking gauntlet. I was going to say,
coming into today, they were 13-10 in last place in their division, which is crazy. Right now, they're sitting in 4th place in their division at it's still 13-10, so they haven't updated it yet. But let's go Bucks. Pens, come on! If you have any fight left, now or never. I mean, Steelers draft tomorrow. I mean, we're going to skip over the draft in Pittsburgh on Thursday. I will not be there on Thursday. I wish I could. It's going to be a fucking logistical nightmare for anyone that is going. Best of luck getting to and from there. But other than that, stay tuned. We'll get some social media content out for the draft, anything else like that. But thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.